This is Sports Drive.
Welcome back into Sports Drive once again. Joining me now is Alan Roberson from the Sports Nerds. Alan, thank you for joining once again. I believe this is the first time that I've had you on the show. I've had your co-host Jake on plenty of times. Anybody who's watched the shows that I've hosted are probably familiar with Jake. I think he was on like 6 days in a row during Christmas because we needed people who could fill those slots. But yeah, thank you for joining. We want to talk a little bit more NFL stuff. Obviously, this past weekend divisional round, a lot of big games, some big contenders going home on the season. Let's talk a little bit about your picks. I did not watch, I have not seen the show, Your Picks. We talked with Alyssa Spangler just now. My picks were, to put it in short, bad. I picked Kansas City, so I got that one. I also picked the Giants to come out on top. I was wrong. I picked I picked the Bengals, so I got that one right, and then I was very off on my beloved Cowboys, unfortunately. Not my best moment. But let's talk about your picks. How many did you get right? How many did you get wrong? And how do you feel about it?
Well, yeah. So I mean, I guess for a brief summarization of sorts, postseason somehow, some way, Jake and I ended up dead even as far as our picks. I think it was maybe 106 to something and 2, like literally exact identical records. Postseason, we could not be further apart as far as our picks are concerned, especially when it came to last weekend. Saturday was relatively solid for me. Obviously, with Jacksonville and Kansas City, it was very much business as usual when it came to Kansas City. I mean, not the most ideal of circumstances with the injury. Obviously, you guys talked a little bit about that, and that's definitely something to keep an eye out for when it comes to this weekend. But the job is still very much the job at hand. Pat Mahomes is still very much able to be Pat Mahomes. The Chiefs were still able to be one of the more deeper teams we've seen in a very, very long time. For Chad Henne to come in 98-yard touchdown drive, that might have been the actual nail in saying, all right, cool, let's say hypothetically 15's out for the rest of the game. At least for this opponent here, Jacksonville, no disrespect to them, but they should still be able to get it done. And that was very much what it was, even with Pat coming back for the second half. So I got that right. Second game between New York and Philly, I was on your side for a brief bit as far as New York's shot to win this game. It was going to be a very close game. I think it was supposed to have been a way closer game than imagined. But then I'm reminded, oh yeah, Jalen Hurts is absolutely crazy. That defense, they checked off just about every single box. The run game was able to do what they were able to do. Defense was able to do what they were able to do. And they boxed him up, simple and plain to me. A 31-point difference at home. You couldn't ask for a better postseason win for Philly. Obviously, we can get into a little bit more of that when it comes to the NFC title game. But Saturday, that was a very solid pick for myself. Sunday, exact opposite. I was very much on the side of Buffalo. It was Buffalo in the snow. I was told that Josh Allen was this amazing quarterback, which he still is. He's a great quarterback, even amazing quarterback. Couple of boneheaded plays, I'll be real with you, especially in the snow. So for Joe Burrow to do what he was able to do, I was not floored, but to see the composure that he had for another reminder of, oh, he really is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I've been on record plenty of times saying as early as maybe 2019-ish, 2018, 2019, no one has had a better football career than Joe Burrow. When it came to the Heisman Trophy, when it came to how they ran roughshod through LSU in the college football playoff, one of the greatest teams we've ever seen, and still able to see that at the next level with Jamar Chase is absolutely something to marvel at, and I'm very intrigued as to what that matchup is going to look like this weekend. Nonetheless, had Buffalo in that game, and then as much as I identify as the ABC fan, the anyone but Cowboys fan, part of that commission, I really did think that Dallas had a very, very valid and viable shot of beating San Francisco this past Sunday. I mean, Dallas were not the ones with the rookie quarterback, yet and still we're having these conversations of, oh, this was the number one offense. Now you throw in 2 interceptions, fire everybody, fire sale, left, right, center. You know what I mean? We need to pump every single break imaginable, first and foremost, when it comes to that. They just played a better team. Despite what Brock Purdy was able to do, he did not turn the ball over. Defense hit him in the mouth. That last play when it came to Dallas on offense, objectively one of the worst play calls I've ever seen in my entire life. But that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. You know, for me, when I saw that, I had no hope at that point. I had lost all hope as a Cowboys fan. I was like, this is ridiculous. You know, it's not going to happen. That being said, it was still really awful. I mean, Cavante Turpin got just destroyed,
Oh my
sent into the
Lord.
ground. It was not good. Obviously, not what they planned, but also just pretty poor effort at the very end there. Especially when you look at Dalton Schultz, his lack of awareness on that drive, 2 plays in a row. Number 1 makes a catch that he easily could have gotten both feet in bounds, and he didn't. Actually, that was number 2. Number 1, he starts going backwards when he's walking out of bounds. So forward contact, you lose 20 seconds off of that. Just brutal last possession. Not as heartbreaking as a lot of other Cowboys playoff losses that I've seen, but definitely still pretty difficult.
It's definitely in those ranks. You know what I mean? Jake and I have said it plenty of times. Like, for as much as there are some jokes that come with Cowboys failures in the postseason, that just felt too like I can't even have any more jokes to say other than what that was. You know what I mean? It's like watching an episode of 1,000 Ways to Die over these past couple of years. They will find a way, whether it's poor clock management, whether it was a poor play call, or whether it was just a better team. Like, I don't know what has to change for this team, because believe it or not, I really do want this team to succeed. I really do think that Dak Prescott is a good quarterback, a great quarterback. When it comes to the title of, elite and generational and all those other types of things, I believe those things haven't been attached to Dak Prescott. But that doesn't mean that he's just bottom of the barrel. You know what I mean? Let's say you're able to you find a way to get rid of him. What truly is that alternative? I don't think one really exists, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I've actually been spending the last couple of days writing a very long-winded article about Dak Prescott and the Cowboys' struggles and what they need to do this offseason. I think losing Dak would be a horrendous mistake, and I don't think they'll do that. Generally speaking, historically, Jerry Jones sticks with his guys, and I'm sure he's disappointed in the turnovers. He mentioned the interceptions were very, very killer. I don't remember what he said, but it killed the momentum of the Cowboys in this game. So I know he's disappointed in Dak Prescott, but I don't think that you get rid of him at this point, because, like you said, the alternative is not there. If you have a good quarterback, if you have a quarterback who has proven that he can win in the playoffs, you pay him. Period. That's the market of the NFL right now. You can't expect anything otherwise. That's why when you have guys like Jared Goff, I mean, he's won in the playoffs, but it wasn't necessarily all him. Obviously he had Sean McVay, he wasn't an offensive mind. But you look at guys like Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, Taylor Heineke, Carson Wentz, they're floating around. They're in quarterback purgatory almost, where they're not going to get those big bucks because they haven't proven that they can be playoff winners the way that Dak Prescott has, the way that Josh Allen has, the way that, and obviously Mahomes and Burrow are different, but they have. That being said, losing Dak, I don't see a future for the Cowboys in that regard. That being said, we are going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit of NBA stuff with Alan right before we wrap things up here on Sports Drive. So stick around. We'll be right back.